Within this video, I want to go over some of the concepts available within the AsULearn Gradebook. It's not so much as a how-to as a what's possible. As the teacher, whenever you log into a course site, you're likely to see this quick set block. And this is an easy way to see whether or not you've made the gradebook available to students. By default, students do not see the gradebook. To change this, all you would do is toggle that no to a yes and click Update Settings. Within the gradebook, there are a number of tabs and different pages. The Grader Report is on the View tab on the top row, and then on the second row it says Grader Report. And the Grader Report is going to show you a listing of all your students, their email addresses, and also any graded items you've added within the course, whether it's a graded quiz or assignment or a manual item that you've created. If you ever need to enter grades directly in the gradebook, we recommend that you use something called Single View. So within the gradebook, if you go to View and then click this tab, Single View, as the teacher you can select the grade item that you want to enter grades for, and then as you scroll down you have the ability to enter scores here. You can also write feedback here, comments if you like. Make sure that you click Save if you make any changes so it keeps everything that you enter. Sometimes within AsULearn, people enter manual grades in the gradebook. They override things. Whenever you do that, it changes the color of the box for the teacher on that Grader Report. So sometimes teachers call us and say, why is this box sort of a tannish color but the rest are not? What that indicates is this was an assignment, but for this student, I gave them this score. So no matter what, it's going to lock it at what number I've entered here. That's what overrides do. You've entered the number directly in the gradebook, and that color just flags it for you. One of the most important steps when you're setting up your gradebook is on the Setup tab. So up at the top, instead of View, you would be on Setup and then Gradebook Setup. Within this page, you're doing a lot. You have the ability to determine the aggregation. You also have the ability on this page at the bottom to create grade items. So let's say there's something you do in class. There's nothing students turn in through AsULearn, but you want to give them a grade for something. You can add a grade item directly in the gradebook. You also have the ability to create categories, and categories are like folders. It's a way to group things together, so you can say, I'm going to put all my quizzes in a category, and that category is 20% of their grade. Now, within the gradebook, and we have separate videos for this, there are a number of ways to calculate student scores. So in this example, the question is, what is the student's overall score, knowing that these are their grades thus far? Well, if it felt like a trick question, it is. I have no idea what their overall grade is just looking at these scores. I need to understand what you want the gradebook to do. How do you want it to calculate so I know what their grade is? These numbers here represent different possibilities. And again, we have separate videos to talk about some of these things, but by default, the gradebook defaults to something called simple weighted, and it means like what it says. The point value determines the weight. So if I have a 10-point item and a 100-point item, the 100-point item is worth 10 times what that 10-point item is. If you choose this for your aggregation, what it's going to do is add up all of their scores. It's also going to add up all the points that are possible. And then it divides the points students have earned by the points possible and gets a percentage. You can also set up the AsULearn Gradebook simply to average scores. If you do that, it's going to average them up, divide by 3, and there's their percentage. That's the mean, the average of all their scores. If you're a points person, you can also just add everything up and it's going to total it. And that's using a natural aggregation. If you're like a lot of faculty on our campus, what you do is perhaps assign percentage weights till you can determine exam 1 is 20% of their grade, or these journals are 25% of their grade. If you are a percentage grader, then you would want to use weighted mean to determine grade value. Again, these are the things that are possible within aggregation types within the gradebook. Simple weighted mean is going to add up scores, divide by points possible to get a percentage. Mean is going to average their grades. Natural is what you use if you're a straight points person. If you just want it to sum everything up, use natural. And if you're a percentage person that you want to assign weights to things, then you want to select your aggregation to be weighted mean of grades. If you have any questions, we encourage you to follow up with your college IT consultant so we can work individually with you on your gradebook to make sure it's right.